was the boogeyman.
As a matter of fact, it was.
Now, you heard that Jaylen Carter is the third best defensive tackle in the league. And honestly, there is room for improvement here. Even Vic Fangio says that he's got a lot more to learn. And that's actually pretty scary. I mean, for a guy that had, 4.5 sacks, 8.8 pass run percentage win rate, it's kind of ridiculous. He's disruptive. He's very old school in his play. He don't take no shit. He's just a bully on the field. And I think that's the type of player we need. In 2023, he should have been a top 5, maybe even top 6 player where teams passed on him because of his off-the-field issues. And I got to say that the Eagles was the best spot for him to go to. But because you have Nolan Smith, you have Jordan Davis, you have Keely Ringo, Nakobe Dean, you have the Georgia Bulldogs here. You have a nice supporting cast for Jaylen Carter, kind of keep him on the right track. And I think it's done a tremendous job to him and his career so far. From the first year that he had in Philadelphia in 23, even going into his second year, his motor was a lot better. He was actually in 40 to over 50% of the snaps. He could be in games for a long time and still give you relentless effort. And I think by middle to end of the season in 24, I think he really started to get better because everything around him was getting better. Early in the 2024 season, it was hard for Carter to be disruptive because your edge rushers weren't doing anything. Just think of it. Jalen Hunt was pretty much non-existent in this defense until late in the season. And Nolan Smith really didn't hit his stride yet till mid-season. So there was a time aspect to it. To the point where early in the season, the Eagles had to use a 5-man front. And they had to use Zach Bond on the edge at times since he has some background at that position. They had to use him as an edge rusher just because they need to get more pressure, and they weren't getting enough of it. So offensive lines were pretty much blocking your 2 inside DTs, and obviously Jordan Davis, I think, really started to come into his own at the end of this season and has struggled, I think, the last couple years on his motor. If you can get some attention off Carter, and some of these guys are winning those one-on-one matchups, if they have the one-on-one matchup, Carter's going to eat. We were kind of really worrying in that Rams game after Puka Nacua caught that crazy sideline catch. Then realistically, the Eagles defense was going to be tested on that drive going downfield by Matthew Stafford, where Jaylen Carter had 2 of his best plays. He single-handedly kind of won that game at the end with a sack on Stafford and obviously a good pressure at his face to force the incompletion. Now, I think going to the 2025 season as a whole for your defensive line is even better now because you now have players that have really went up another level at the end of last season when it comes to Jalen Hunt, when it comes to Nolan Smith. And now you're kind of adding more ammo to it with Josh Uche, with Azeez Ojulari. I mean, even you could be using your first-round pick and Jihad Campbell on the line at times if you want to. Look, you go into a Super Bowl and you have 0% blitz rate literally from that game, and you win it without giving any type of pressure. That means that everybody is playing really well. I think Jaylen Carter's been one of my favorite players because he's old. He plays old school. He talks trash. He gets in everybody's head. He gets under your skin. I just like that type of player. He plays with a clenched fist. And I think that's the type of player we've always been looking for. I think he's going to be better than Fletcher Cox. I think he's going to have a better career than Fletcher Cox. I think he's going to break some records, and I think he's going to be a yellow jacket in the future. So now you go into this offseason training camp where there's so many pieces that really need to come together, especially for your defensive line. Just remember, you lost Josh Sweat to the Arizona Cardinals. You lost Milton Williams to the New England Patriots. You couldn't pay those guys. I think you got some really good talent depth at DT. I think you have Thomas Booker that's really coming to his own a little bit. He's deep in the rotation, but the guy's pretty productive. And then you got Moro Jomo that's a 6th, 7th round pick that almost could, in my eyes, could take the Milton Williams role because his pass rush run rate percentage has gotten better every single year. Jaylen Carter's probably taught him a few things because Moro Jomo is going to be the next DT that probably gets paid after Jaylen Carter. Probably not by the Eagles, but he's going to find another team in a couple years. New faces on the edge. You finally have a defensive coordinator under a fantastic scheme that's going to be here. And these players playing under Vic Fangio in his second year, it's going to make a big difference. So I'm very excited for this entire line. And I think that's really the meat and potatoes of our defense. That's where we really value these positions, the trenches first before anything else, and you kind of spread out and kind of get your, you get your talent elsewhere. I want to know from you guys what you think about Jaylen Carter and how you feel about this defensive line going into the regular season. I understand we haven't hit camp yet. It's coming soon. How do you feel about the new faces in Uche and Ojulari? And how do you feel about Thomas Booker? How do you feel about Moro Ojomo maybe going to that Milton Williams role? And do you think Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunter are going to have like a fantastic year this year? I think they're going to have the best year of their career. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you like the video because it helps out tremendously. I will be covering all of training camp very soon, and we'll be back to the business real soon. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Chicks about, follow, peace out, guys. Peace.